Continue the chapter an imperial capital Vijayanagar. We are reading about Vijayanagar Empire that is located in the south of India beyond Krishna river to extreme south. So Harihar and Bukka, they founded the Vijayanagar Empire in 1336. Vijayanagar Empire was ruled by the four empire dynasties Sangam, Saluva, Tuluva and Aravidu. So Harihar and Bukka belongs to Sangam dynasties. On the northern frontiers, the Vijayanagar kings, they were competed with contemporary rulers Sultan of the Deccans, Bahmani king, Gajpati ruler of Odisha. So we discussed all this in the previous video. So here comes, what were the causes of these rivals? So here we saw they wanted to control over the fertile land to control over the overseas trade. So if we're talking about Vijayanagar Empire, it was if you talk about the earliest ruler or the dynasty that ruled before Vijayanagar were the Cholas in Tamil Nadu and Hoysals in Karnataka. So we read about the traders, trade of horses and elephants, and it was, if we talk early, it was imported by Arab and later Portuguese involved in the trade, and the local communities who involved in trade was the Kudirai Chettis. Then Vijayanagar also noted for its market for dealing spices, textiles and precious stones. And trade was a status symbol for cities, especially for wealthy population, as they demanded for exotic goods here, foreign goods, especially precious stones and jewelries. The revenue they obtained from trade in turn contribute significantly to the prosperity of the states. So today we will start a new topic, the apogee and the decline of the empire. So apogee here is the zenith, the empire at its peak. And then we will see the decline of the empire. The empire, it collapsed. So the first dynasty was the Sangam dynasty. It exercised control till 1485. And then they were supplanted or overthrown by Saluva dynasty military commander who remained in power till 1505. And then, so when they were replaced by Krishna Dev Rai, belonged to the Tuluva dynasty. So Krishna Dev Rai was, if we talk his rule was characterized by the policy of expansion and consolidation. So here you can see the policy of expansion. So this was the time in the year 1512 when land between the river Krishna and Tungabhadra, the Raichur Doab was acquired by the Sultanate of. So he acquired the region in the year 1512. Then we saw the rulers of Odisha were suppressed in the year 1514, and then severe defeats. These defeats were imposed on the Sultan of Bijapur in 1520 AD. So if we talk about the state, it remained in constant state of military preparedness. As far as the strategy or the defensive point of view, the state remained ready, but it flourished in the state of incredible peace and prosperity. So he is credited with building some of the fine temples and adding impressive Gopuram to many important South Indian temples. So here you can see Gopuram, a large monumental tower, a pyramidal tower at the entrance of a temple. Especially in southern India, this was extremely beautiful and delicately decorated with sculptures and carving and painting with a variety of themes derived from the Hindu mythology, particularly those associated with the preceding deity of the temple where the Gopuram is located. So he founded a suburban town. You can see small residential communities near Vijayanagar. The town name was Nagalpuram, after his mother name. So if we talk about the detailed description of Vijayanagar, it's come from his time or just after Krishna Dev Rai or after his death. So after the death of Krishna Dev Rai in 1529, you can see there was a political instability as the successor had to face trouble with the Nayaks or the military chief. So you can see by 1542, control at the center or the power, okay, is shift to another dynasty that we call Aravidu, who ruled or remained in power till the end of the 17th century. So here you can see that in this remained 1542 till that at the Battle of Talikota. After the decisive war, this power it shift toward the east, and they ruled until 17th century. So during this period, as it was earlier that two rival states, one is the Vijayanagar and there was the Bahmani, the Deccan Sultanate, their military ambitions of ruler, it resulted in shifting alignment. It means change in the equation as far as the policy, the strategy and the alliance is concerned. So eventually this alignment, it led to an alliance of the Sultanate against the Vijayanagar. So here the alliance were between the Bijapur, Ahmednagar and Golconda. So you can see in 1565, Ram Rai, the chief minister of Vijayanagar, led the army into the battle of Rakshasi Tangadi, known as Talikota, a town in the northern Karnataka, where he forced and defeated by the combined armies of this Bijapur, Ahmednagar and Golconda. So the victorious armies, they plundered the city of Vijayanagar. The city was totally abandoned within a few years. Now the focus of the empire is shifted to the east, where the Aravidu dynasty, they ruled from Penukonda and later from Chandagiri near Tirupati. So however, the armies of the Sultan, when we talk about relations between the Sultan and the Sultanate and the Vijayanagar, Sultanate of Deccan. So you can see the armies of the Sultan were responsible for the destruction of the city of Vijayanagar. But when we talk about the relation between the Sultans and the Rais were not always inevitably hostile. Here you can see Krishna Dev Rai, he supported the Sultanate who claimed to power in Deccan Bahmani and feel pride to took the title of establishers of the Yavan kingdom. Then after the death of Krishna Dev Rai, Bijapur, it intervened or mediate to solve the matter or disputes of successor between the successors and the Nayaks or the military chief. So in fact, we can talk the both the Vijayanagar and this Sultanate, they were keen to ensure stability. But here one character Ram Rai, okay, that his adventurous policy that he tried to play off one Sultan again another, and that led to the Sultan that they combined together and he decisively they defeat him. So here comes the Rais and the Nayak. The Rai, you know, they were the rulers and the Nayaks were among those, okay, who exercised power. And you can see in the empire, the military chief who usually controlled the fort and had armed force under him, or you can see armed supports. So these military chiefs, they often moved from one place to another and in many cases were accompanied by the peasant looking for fertile land on which to settle. So these chiefs, military chiefs, were called Nayak. And they usually spoke Telugu or Kannada. Many Nayaks submitted to the authority of the king of Vijayanagar, but they often rebelled and had to subdue by the military action. तो आप देखते हैं साम्राज्य में जो शक्ति और पावर का प्रयोग करने वाले जो मिलिट्री चीफ होते थे वो सामान्यतः किलों पर नियंत्रण रखते थे, जिनके पास आर्म्ड फोर्स का समर्थन प्राप्त था। कई बार वो एक जगह से दूसरी जगह ट्रैवल करते थे और उनके साथ किसान भी जाते ताकि वो उपजाऊ भूमि की तलाश कर सके और वहां बस सके। तो इन प्रमुखों को हम नायक कहते थे इन्हें तेलुगु और कन्नड़ भाषा बोलते थे और ये कई नायकों ने विजय जैसे नगर के शासक के सामने आत्मसमर्पण किया। अक्सर विद्रोह कर देते थे। इन्हें सैनिक कार्रवाई के माध्यम से ही वश में किया जाता था। So here comes the Amar Nayak system. It was a major political innovation of the Vijayanagar Empire. So when we talk about this system, the features have been derived from the Ikta system of Delhi Sultanate. So here comes the Amar Nayak system, in which you see that military commander who were given the territories to govern by the Rais. So they collected tax. Okay, here you can see from the or other dues from peasant, craftsmen and traders in the area. So they kept some part of the tax of the revenue for their personal use and maintaining a stipulated contingent of horses and elephant. And they maintain obviously a fixed amount for the troop also for the maintenance of horse and elephants. So these contingents of troops, they provided the Vijayanagar king with an effective fighting force with which they brought the entire southern peninsula under their control. And they kept some portion of the revenue was also used for the maintenance of temple and irrigation. So the Amar Nayak, they sent tribute to the king annually and personally appeared in the royal court with gift to express their loyalty. So you can see how during the 17th century many of the Nayak, they established independent kingdom, and this resulted the collapse, or this suddenly resulted in the collapse of the central imperial structure. So here we saw the Amar Nayak system. Some features were derived from the Ikta system of Delhi Sultanate, in which you can see they were given the territories to govern and they collected tax and other dues from the peasant, craftsmen and the trader, and they kept some part with them for their personal use, as well as they kept for the maintenance of the troop, especially for these horses and elephant, and some of the revenue they used for the maintenance of temple and irrigation work. And they paid, you can see, tribute to the king annually as well as gift, okay, to express his loyalty. And the king, they you can see they occasionally asserted their control over them by transferring them from one place to another. But then also in the 17th century, many of the Nayaks, they established their independent kingdom.